is the chief privacy officer? It's a bunch of things. This is, can be either formal or informal. It doesn't have to be, we use the title of that in the title of the talk, but it really can be anybody who is emphatic and adamant and evangelical about privacy. And if it's in your formal title, great. If it's in your formal job description, great. But there's nothing that says you can't also influence on privacy matters from within any job. At the end of the day, though, it does need to be somebody who can become an expert in laws, culture, and business of the organization. The laws, understanding all the laws, you don't have to be an attorney to do this. The laws and regulations are increasingly well described out in internet resources, in scholarly research, in commentary, and in law, search, in law findings, case documents that anyone can get read into and learn about what the laws are. But it's equally important that you have expertise in the culture and business of your organization, understanding what it is that the business of your university or the business of your company does, and how data and data use and customers play into that mix. That will be key in defining where along that continuum from fully closed to fully open you and your organization need to exist. Because as I mentioned before, that balance is really important, and there's no single answer to where that balance happens. The most fully private system, the most fully secure system is one that's turned off, locked, put into a cabinet, closed, disconnected from the network. And I don't know about you, but I don't find systems like that particularly usable. So you have to come off of that position in order to find some ways to use and enable the organization to do the things it needs to do for the benefit of the patrons, for the benefit of the users, but not too far. And that means understanding the culture of the culture of the organization, the business of the organization, in context of the laws. You also need to be an advocate for informed, transparent, and ethical use of data. The ethics, there's what's required by law, and then there's what's required by the ethics of the organization. It's important to remember that a few things, like that data will always be collected. No matter what, when you use technology, something, somewhere, there's going to be a breadcrumb. It may not be personalized. It may not be anything of consequence, but there's some data out there. So perfect privacy doesn't exist. So if we come off of that, that edge of the continuum, and start to say, all right, there's always going to be some data collected, and that data collection in and of itself does not necessarily equate to a privacy violation. Incorrect use of that data absolutely does, or unauthorized or non-consented use absolutely can equate to a privacy violation, but the mere collection of it itself does not. You can put appropriate protections in place and balances in place to make sure that that data is used right. It's important to set the principles for use and sharing. Set them, define your parameters and put them out there, and then adhere to them. Always think about serving the user, serving the patron. That needs to be at the core of this data use. And if you collect it, use it wisely, and then get rid of it when you're done. Don't keep the data longer than you need to. This all helps to build a level of trust, both in your organization and in the business processes, but also that the people you're serving, whether they're patrons, customers, users, other businesses, will grow trustworthy of the fact that you've taken control, you've defined this, you're transparent about what you're doing, and then that you're actually doing the things you say you're doing. Then the last here is the chief privacy officer is also an assurer of accountability for data use and protection within the org and beyond. This comes in the form of establishing some governance, definitions of how data is used, and making sure people inside the organization are using it that way, making sure that people outside, third parties, others that you use to process information, maybe it's a library information system, maybe it's a CRM, maybe it's something else, but making sure that you have a good definition of what they're expected to do, and then holding them accountable to do that, and making sure that the way they're using it is in line with your own ethics, your organization's ethics, and those of the customers and people you serve.